Hi, I'm Bill Warren. Barb Little and I are on the fourth floor of Montecedro, coping as best we can, like all of us, and kind of looking at what in the world can we do to make life a little more interesting than we've been for the last few days or so. I think most of us are beginning to get a little stir-crazy, and that's perfectly normal because one of the reasons we moved here to Montecedro was to have contact with all sorts of friends and people and make new friends and enjoy life. And so that's what we've been doing. And Barb and I we make our own breakfast and lunch, and then we come down for dinner, usually a little later than some of the rest of you. But anyway, we're always happy to find somebody that we haven't had dinner with for a while, maybe somebody new. We love to see new people, the ones with the little stars on their badge, you know. We go out of our way to say, hey, come on in, why don't you have dinner with us unless you have other plans? And so we're happy to have a chance to chat with other people. I think that's the one thing that we miss the most. You come down here now, and there isn't anybody to talk to. Well, yeah, there are the staff wandering around, and a lot of people from the wellness center, nurses wandering here and there, and so we say hello to them. But of course, we're talking through our masks. It makes it a little hard to carry on a major conversation, doesn't it? Anyway, that's part of the deal. We're in a situation that I think a number of us remember from World War II. I grew up during that period. I'm 90 years old now, so I was one of those fortunate group of people that were between the wars. I was too young for World War II, and when it came long time for Korea, they were getting more selective, and my hearing kept me from being, my hearing and my eyesight kept me from being drafted into that particular operation there. So I was lucky, and a lot of us have been, a lot of us have been very lucky in our lives because we've had a lot of things going for us, a lot of things that were mainly in our favor rather than somebody else's. So if you remember, though, during World War II, we had ration books, and we had things where you couldn't drive your car very far because you didn't have enough gasoline. And if your tires got worn, that's too bad. There weren't any available to replace them, so you put patches on them and that sort of thing, or you put in retreads or that kind of stuff. And it was, we lived with those restrictions, and we didn't question it. We just said, okay, you remember the old expression everybody used, don't you know there's a war on? Well, right at the moment, we're still in that kind of a mode, I think. It's a war that we didn't want and we don't want, but we have to fight because we have to get through this thing, and we will. It's just a matter of time. We've gone through it before. We can see it happening with the stock market. The stock market goes, yeah, like this, and then it goes, like this. And it's crazy because it's not us who are moving the stock market around or people with coronavirus or anything else. What's doing that are these guys that are playing with the market by using computers to trade. So they're trading millions of shares, and we're just sitting there watching them go up and down. So the point is, we know that it will always return to a sane market after these crazy things go on long enough. So, hold up on that. But I think, to me, one of the things that we have to worry about is we tend to become very insular when we're locked in. And a lot of us, particularly those who live alone, Barb and I are lucky. We have each other to talk to. That may or may not be the most satisfactory thing. And if you live with somebody, quite often you begin to get on one another's nerves a little bit. I wonder if you've ever noticed that. We have, not me, but Barb. Oh dear, now I'm in trouble. I can't blame anything on her. So anyway, what you need, we need the human contact, and that's what we're missing. You can walk down into the hallway, and if there isn't somebody walking along in the other direction, you don't know what to do. You can look at the pretty pictures on the walls, that's neat, and we enjoy the art on the walls, and we've found that by walking around the building, we've found artwork that we have never seen before, and gee, that's great. So we can hardly wait for the new booklet to be put out with all the pictures in it. But in any case, that's one thing you can do, is wander around and look at the pictures and say hello to the various staff members that you pass on the way around. Now, we also found out that we want to go outside. Staying within these four walls is just a little more than we can handle. So once a day at least, we go outside, the two of us, we walk around the property. If we're feeling particularly spry, we can go in different directions. For example, if you go up to whatever the name of the street is at the top of this place, it begins with a C. Anyway, you go up there and you walk past the grade school on the other side, and you turn up the next little block there. About halfway up, there's a house with a plastic basket sitting out on the front yard by the walkway. And in the basket are a bunch of lemons. And there's a little sign that says, hey, we're happy you came by. If you'd like some lemons, take some, and we'll keep putting them out for anybody that wants them. I think that's pretty neat. I don't know many neighborhoods where we might find that sort of thing happening, but it certainly happens here in Altadena. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that keeps us going, is we have a wonderful community spirit here in this neighborhood. Just the same sort of spirit that we have in Montecedro itself. I don't see anybody sitting around moping. I'm sure they're doing it at home, but if you do come out, and we've also gone out and sat on the patio in front of the building. Now, you know, there's several places there where there are comfortable chairs you can sit in that are spaced far enough apart that you're not talking right into somebody's face. And we found that useful because every once in a while we'll find somebody there that we know. The other day we were coming back from someplace or another, from our walk, I think, and all of a sudden there were three other people in the part of the hallway that we're in on the fourth floor. And so we stopped and we stood apart by at least 10 or 15 feet, and we had a conversation that must have lasted about 4 or 5 minutes, which was wonderful because we had a chance to say something to one another and find out what's happening with other people. Well, one of the things I've been doing to keep myself from going batty is writing a sort of a journal every day, which I have been sending to my kids and to several other men that I know who are members of a club called the Zamorano Club. These are people who are interested in fine books and printing. And we meet once a month, and we had until recently been meeting at the Women's City Club down in Oakland. Recently it's been at the University Club, which is sort of across the street from the Women's City Club. In any case, nice group of people. We all have interests, common interests, and so on and so forth. So 4 of those guys, including me, have been meeting once a month for lunch, just the 4 of us, to talk about what's going on and what we think and so on and so forth. And so that's been cut down, of course. So I included them in my little missives each day as to what in the world is going on, and try to keep everything light without getting into too much politics or that sort of thing. And that's been fun. I've enjoyed doing it. I've done similar things for some time. So you might think about that. Sit down and say to yourself, okay, what did I do today that might interest my kids or my other relatives, my sisters and brothers or something like that, and write it out and keep it short, maybe 1 sheet, and then send it off to them by email. And to the rest of us, post it in the mailroom, which is what I've been doing. If you want to go down and look, you find a whole bunch of sheets, one on top of the other, held up by one pin. And if you have the fortitude to go through those, you're better than I am. I can't remember what I wrote half the time. But in any case, it's something to do, something to keep your mind active, something to make you think about what's happened and what is happening and why you're able to cope with rather difficult times. So hopefully this is going to get over. I want to say we made a mistake the other day, I guess, by going out and going to the grocery, because we had come to the point where we were out of milk, we were out of cottage cheese, we were out of this, that, and the other thing. We said, the first thing we did was we said, well, let's try getting it brought in. Okay, so we went to Instacart and we ordered a bunch of stuff through them from Stater Brothers, and we said, okay, we'll sit back and see if they come in a couple of hours or so. No, if I had looked at it carefully, it said delivery will be Wednesday. This was Friday when we were putting the order in. Well, they already told us it wasn't going to come till Wednesday. I kept looking to see if it had changed. No, it didn't. And then after a while I got frustrated, so on Monday, or I think, went to Amazon Prime, and of course they have a deal with Whole Foods. Amazon and Whole Foods are part of the same operation, and ordered a bunch of stuff from them. Okay, so now we have 2 orders in for essentially the same thing. And so I kept looking at both sites saying, when are we going to get something? And Amazon kept saying, no deliveries today, no deliveries tomorrow. So I don't know whether we'll ever get it from Amazon. But as I was losing complete faith in the system yesterday, about 11 o'clock, Grant came up with 2 big shopping bags filled with the stuff we had ordered from Stater Brothers on Friday. Oh boy, good. We were happy with that. And so we don't know what's going to happen with the Amazon Prime order, but if we get it, that's fine. But listen, if you are running out of some things, give us a holler. We have a surplus, a gallon and a half of milk, and a whole bunch of cottage cheese, and I don't know what else. Nothing else is terribly important. But anyway, we're happy to share it with anybody who's running low on provisions for breakfast. So anyway, we got a whole pile of stuff yesterday, and we're very pleased with it. And I highly recommend to you Instacart, or also try Amazon Prime and see if they do a better job for you. I suppose it depends on what you order and how much you order. And I think the problem isn't in filling the order. The problem is in getting somebody with enough intestinal fortitude to actually bring it out and hand it over to us. So that's a problem. So we have to be a little bit careful that we don't badmouth them because of the fact they haven't got it to you when they should have. It's really, we've got to work this out together. Have a little patience. I have as little patience as anybody. So, I'm working my way through this and hoping that one of these days soon we'll actually be able to go downstairs and go into the Station 8 or the bistro and have a lovely meal together and talk with friends at a table for 6 or 8 people where we can all communicate. Great fun. We are participating in a couple of situations where we're doing teleconferencing, either with or without the value of a picture on the computer. If you pick up Zoom, you can do that. You can. It requires an iPhone. And we've also found we can talk with our kids on our iPhones because they have whatever it is that allows it, not Zoom, but another thing. What do they got?
FaceTime.
FaceTime. If you don't understand FaceTime, talk to one of your grandchildren. They're the only people who understand this stuff. I don't. I mean, my daughter is the one that brought up the FaceTime, and she called us yesterday before 8 o'clock in the morning, and my little iPhone sits on the counter as a charger. It's only there in case I need to have an emergency call to somebody, something like that. It's not something we use. We use our landline to talk to people most of the time. But the thing went ding ding, and so I picked it up, and there was my daughter, and she said, "Open it up so you get the picture." And sure enough, went to FaceTime, bang, and here it was her. Here she was looking at me, and I was looking at her, and I was looking at the picture of me, and I thought, oh God, look at that waddle hanging down here. I was just, you're supposed to at least get up and get partially dressed before you have to go through that sort of thing. But in any case, it was fine, because she was calling us for a very happy reason. My grandson's wife in Oklahoma had delivered that morning a little baby girl. And so we have 2 granddaughters with that one family, and we were just delighted. And a little later in the day, we got pictures of the child and mother, who are both doing fine. Everything is great. So hooray for our side. I feel wonderful to have 2 great grandchildren, both of them girls, and something to leave a legacy for. So I wrote a little note to my older great-granddaughter, and I told her, okay, kid, you're now the oldest of your generation of our family, and you have to accept the responsibility that I have had for 90 years. So go to it, kid. Well, I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will. Well, I hope I haven't overstayed my welcome, and I hope I've enjoyed talking with you. Any of you that want to talk further, give me a call on the telephone. And when we get all through this thing, maybe we can all sit down and have a wonderful time together. So till then,